Hello everyone. Today I'm showing off my IoT cat door. I've had problems over the years with other neighborhood cats and critters like raccoons coming into the house at night and getting into cat's food and causing trouble. So I decided I need some way to control access so that only my cats can come and go during the day and night. I've tried a couple things off the shelf, but they were either too small for my cats or just poor quality and would always break down. So I decided to try to roll my own. This is my second iteration of this project. The first one was using Arduino and RFID tags on the cats, but I had problems with the antennas for picking up the RFID tags. The cats just had to get too close to trigger it, and so they stopped using the door. So this one, I'm using a Raspberry Pi 3 with built-in Bluetooth antenna and Bluetooth tags on all the cats. As you can see here, this is the Raspberry Pi 3. On top of it, I also have a couple Pi hats from Adafruit, little prototyping hats. One of the hats, I just have all the connectors for connecting the external components, and then on top I have a hat with LEDs and all the components for the limit switches, and then a little temperature humidity sensor, which is for another project. Connected to the Raspberry Pi 3, I have a generic automotive retractable antenna, and I'm using this to control opening and closing the door. Normally these antennas have a circuit in them that allows it to automatically retract the antenna when it loses power on one of the wires. But this doesn't really work for what I need to do, so I ripped that circuit out and I'm just using the wires directly to the motor. The antenna itself is what's actually opening and closing the cat door. As you can see, I have it connected to the little manual door. On the outside of the door, you can see I have a couple of magnetic switches I use to limit the up and down of the door. And there's a little magnetic sensor on the door itself, so when it gets down to the bottom or to the top, it'll automatically cut off power and stop the door from moving. This works pretty good for the most part. Oh, look, we have a visitor. Little cameo by one of the cats there. These magnetic switches work for the most part. The only problem is the way they work. Sometimes this magnetic part goes past the switch and it'll get stuck in a little open-close loop here down at the bottom. So I have to keep an eye on that, make sure that doesn't happen. But for the most part, as you can see, it works pretty well. Eventually, I'm going to replace these magnetic switches with just a standard switch, but they're not as easy to mount on the door. So for now this works until I can get around to fixing that. As you can see on the Raspberry Pi 3, I have several LEDs indicate the door status, and there they go. Red indicates that the door is closed and it's not picking up a signal. Green indicates the door is open, and you can see the blue flashing light indicates it's picking up a BLE signal from one of the tags. When it gets that signal, every time it picks up an advertisement from the BLE tags, it'll trigger the door to open and then start a 15-second timer. To keep it from closing on a cat that's taken too long to get through the door, it'll automatically re-up that timer every time it picks up an advertisement from the BLE tags. So it'll only actually close the door 15 seconds after it stops receiving an advertisement. And usually the cats are pretty far away before that happens. I've got a pretty generous setting on the BLE advertisement checking right now, so the cats can open it from pretty far away. Eventually I'm going to get down to tightening that setting so it only opens up when the cats are pretty close to the door. You can also see I had a little motion sensor here at one point. But I found that these weren't working very well in this setup. I kept doing false triggers and always opening the door. The idea was that if somehow another animal got inside and didn't have a tag, it could always get out, but I don't think that's really a problem, and it seems to be working good with just the BLE tags. So for now, I took that out of the mix to stop the false door opening. And there you have it. There's my cat door. For software on the Raspberry Pi 3, I'm using Node-RED along with a node that does BLE scanning. And what I'm doing is I'm scanning for a list of BLE advertisement that match IDs, Bluetooth addresses for each of the individual tags I have on the cats. For the tags themselves, I've tried several different types of tags. I tried to cheap out initially and just go with cheap BLE tags, but most of those were kind of poorly made. They either had terrible signal strength or they weren't waterproof, and so they were getting damaged by the cats when they would go into puddles or drink water out of their drinking dishes. So eventually I just ended up using tile trackers. Get one of those so you can see here. Let's see, these little guys. They're kind of big. I was trying to use smaller ones with the other tags too, but the cats don't seem to mind them. They seem to work okay. These are much more reliable. They're waterproof, weatherproof, and they seem to be pretty sturdy. So far, the cats haven't damaged any of them. Initially, the cats on the other ones, they were damaging the other tags within like a week. They were no longer working for whatever reason. The only problem with the tile tracker tags is they want to maintain a constant connection to your phone. So you have to set them up initially, make a connection with them, get them registered into the tracker app to turn them on. And then once I was done with all that, I ended up just removing the tile app or disabling it. So it would no longer make connections to the tile trackers. And once it does that, the tile trackers will just advertise a little BLE packet every second or two. And that's the packet I'm looking for, matching access to the door. Along with this video, I should have some code accompanying it to show what I've done on Node-RED. But as far as the hardware goes and video demonstrating how this works, that's it. Hope you enjoyed it.